Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight, the Nashik oxygen disaster. 24 dead in a hospital after a tanker with oxygen on board leaks. The hospital runs dry. It's a dreadful situation. The hospital tries to move patients, but by then it's too late. How can we be in a situation where oxygen stocks run so low in our country that a leak from one tanker ends up in 24 people dying? Meanwhile, in Delhi, it's still touch and go for hospitals, even as the centre promises more oxygen. The Delhi High Court slams the centre, says, you take your own sweet time, people die. That's what the High Court has said, with hospitals literally pleading for more oxygen supply and saying if it doesn't come within hours, there will be a catastrophe. And then on this packed programme, our big exclusives, Adar Poonawalla on how the Serum Institute is ramping up production, and G.V. Prasad of Dr. Reddy's on the rollout of the Sputnik V vaccine. But first, the latest on this situation in Nashik.
The desperation, the frantic attempts to revive their loved ones, relatives beating on patients' chests as tragically life-saving oxygen just ran out for a crucial 30 minutes.
मम्मी मर गई। क्या हो गया था? कब लाए थे? मेरी माँ को इन्होंने ऑक्सीजन नहीं दिया, तड़प तड़प के मर गई। कब लाए थे उनको? उनको 5 दिन हो गया और रिकवर हो गई थी। अभी ऑक्सीजन नहीं था तो मर गई, तड़प तड़प के मर गई।
The tragedy happened at 12:30 this afternoon when an oxygen tanker refilling the cylinder at the Municipal Corporation Hospital started leaking. Soon, white fumes filled the entire area in this hospital. At the time, there were 150 patients who were on oxygen plus ventilator support. Immediately, the rush began to move them to other hospitals, but for many, it was too late.
उस टाँकी का कॉक डैमेज होने की वजह से सवेरे प्रेशर नीचे आ गया। इस वजह से इन्वेजिव वेंटिलेटर पे जितने भी लोग थे उनको ऑक्सीजन टाइम पे मिला नहीं। 22 लोगों की मौत हो चुकी है। वो टाँकी इमीडिएटली एक आधे घंटे के अंदर भी शुरू हो गई। वो अभी उसी टाँकी से सप्लाई हो रहा है।
इस घटना की पूरी जानकारी लेके पूरी उसकी इंक्वायरी करने के बाद इसके बारे में जो भी दोषी होंगे उस पर कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
The government says there will be a high-level probe and compensation is also being announced. But today, permanent damage done to all those 22 families who lost their loved ones because of a human error. With Kishore Belsare in Nashik and Purva Chitnis in Mumbai, Anusya Mathur for NDTV.
A desperate situation over there in Nashik. Joining us now, Dr. Subhash Salunke, Chief Technical Advisor on COVID-19 of the Maharashtra government. We're also joined by Dr. Rahul Pandit, member of the Maharashtra COVID Task Force. Dr. Salunke, what exactly happened over here? How did this leak take place?
Even though I wasn't there and I cannot emphatically state what exactly happened.
Yeah, so on the basis of what you know, sir.
Yeah, what you know. What is seen on the TV channels or the media, it is quite disturbing, a very heart-wrenching tragedy that has taken place. It is so painful even to describe the suffering of the relatives of those who died without availability of the oxygen. It appears that the tanker which had come and the tank in which they were supposed to be refilling, there was a leakage, and because there was a defect or the fault as far as the wall is concerned, and instead of connecting the new fill, that leakage resulted into a very serious dropping in the pressure of the oxygen which was there in the liquid oxygen which was there in the tank, and that resulted into hardly 25% of the oxygen pressure, which ultimately resulted into those who were on the ventilators, invasive ventilators, who were intubated, could not get the sufficient oxygen, even though the hospital authorities tried their best to shift these patients. But the period in which this tragedy took place and the efforts that were made to transfer these patients was fairly long. More than half an hour duration is enough to result into death for those who are on the ventilator. So I think this is a very, very serious kind of an accident that has taken place, which is most unfortunate. And I think as Honorable Chief Minister and the Guardian Minister has already made a statement that this entire incident is going to be fully and thoroughly investigated.
It's very sad indeed. Dr. Pandit, let me ask you this. What does it say about our system that we have that 24 people could end up dying in a hospital because one tanker of oxygen developed a leak?
So Vishnu, good evening. First of all, my heartfelt condolences to all the families and family members for this tragic incident. As Dr. Salunke said, I can't find words to actually describe and talk about it. But let's talk about what should the system be.
Yes.
The system should be that there should be a backup of a backup. So if I have 2 or 3 things in the hospital which are virtually indispensable, which have to be 24/7, oxygen is obviously on the top priority and electricity is on the second top priority. Okay. So we should, if we are talking about oxygen, you should have oxygen main supply thing, which could either be jumbo cylinders or a liquid oxygen tank. And you should have one console, which is a backup. And then you should have another console, which is a backup of a backup. So that would basically mean that if the main console has been empty, the backup console kicks in. And if something goes wrong to the backup console, the backup of the backup also supports it. But I'm not sure whether in these times where the oxygen is really, really short in supply, whether the backup was there and even that was empty or not. I have no idea about the local hospital infrastructure, what it is there. Similarly for electricity, if you have a main pump, which is main router, which is giving you the electricity, you need to have a backup generator and a backup of a backup generator so that you always have an uninterrupted power supply. These are some of the things which are very crucial. Same thing for the medicines. So I think this system is set, and Salunke sir would agree with me. He's quite senior and experienced to us. He's been a DDHS of Maharashtra government, that you need a backup of a backup. That is the first thing we need to do.
All right. It
I
is
agree.
a very, very sad situation over there. Hopefully we'll figure out a system where we actually get the oxygen that we need. And that's what the Delhi High Court is presently looking at. Gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me. I need to focus on what's happening right now in the Delhi High Court, with the desperate oxygen situation resonating in the High Court even this evening, with the judges having harsh questions for the centre, demanding why it was not waking up to reality. How is the government so oblivious to the reality on the ground? You can't have people die because there is no oxygen. This is what the court is saying. This emergency shows lives don't matter for the government, is what the judges said. They were hearing an appeal by Max Hospitals, which had flagged the oxygen crisis in 2 of the hospitals this afternoon. The High Court said, you can't have people die due to no oxygen. How is the government so oblivious to the ground reality? You take your own sweet time, people die. You are concerned with industries while people die. That reference to whether oxygen generated from industries was being supplied to states in the amount that is required. Lives don't matter to the government. All observations by the Delhi High Court.
मैं रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ, केजरीवाल से हाथ जोड़ के रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ, मेरा परिवार चला गया, किसी और का परिवार ना जाए। इस अस्पताल को, इस क्या दिल्ली के किसी भी अस्पताल को, हिंदुस्तान के किसी भी अस्पताल को, सबको कोई सा भी हॉस्पिटल हो, सबके अंदर ऑक्सीजन पूर्ति करे और इंजेक्शन पूरी करे, वरना अनर्थ हो जाएगा, अनर्थ हो जाएगा।
Suresh Gupta lost his 46-year-old sister-in-law to COVID last night as she gasped for oxygen.
27,000 के इंजेक्शन ला के मैंने ब्लैक में ढूंढ के ला के दिया उनको। उस रेमडेसिविर, हाँ जी, और वो इंजेक्शन को लगा नहीं। अगर वो इंजेक्शन लगता तो रिकवरी जरूर होती। मेरी रोज पेशेंट से बात हो रही थी, वो यही कह रही है चिल्ला के कि कोई दवाई नहीं मिल रही, ऑक्सीजन नहीं मिल रहा, मैं मर जाऊंगी। आधे घंटे में अभी 8 बोडियां निकली हैं, कल 1 घंटे में 12-13 बोडियां निकली हैं।
GTB hospital officials refused to comment on camera but denied the charges of patients getting affected due to oxygen shortage. With just hours left for their oxygen to run out, several top Delhi hospitals like GTB, Sir Ganga Ram, LNJP and Max received fresh supplies through the night. But across the government and private hospitals, the supply is not likely to last more than one day. At Delhi's biggest COVID-dedicated hospital, LNJP, at least 1,500 patients are on oxygen out of 2,100 total COVID patients.
अभी हमारा जो डिमांड है 3-4 टन से बढ़ करके 21 टन पे आ गया है। 21 टन ऑक्सीजन हमें रोज चाहिए लोकनायक में। कल रात को हमें बड़ी परेशानी हुई क्योंकि हमारा ऑक्सीजन का जो टैंकर है वो लेट आया। रात को 3 बजे तक मैं पूरी रात में जागता रहा और 3 बजे तक उसका वेट करते रहे, फ़ोन करते रहे कि हमारा जो सेंट्रल सप्लाई है उसका प्रेशर ड्रॉप हो गया। ड्रॉप होने की वजह से हमने 100 से ज़्यादा सिलेंडर यूज किए, तब जाके पेशेंट स्टेबलाइज हुए। रात को फिर हमारे पास 10 टन ऑक्सीजन मिल गई थी। 2 टैंकर हमारे पास आ गए थे। अभी हमें 12 घंटे का बैकअप है, पर आज हमें दिन में 2 टैंकर और आने की संभावना है।
Other hospitals are still struggling.
About 78 patients, corona, and almost all of them need oxygen. We had stock left for about 4 or 5 hours. I have also been in touch with the Delhi Health Secretary. He's been very helpful and cooperative.
Amid this scarcity, the Haryana government today ordered police protection for all tankers, alleging loot by neighbouring Delhi.
और कल हमारा एक टैंकर हमारे फरीदाबाद के अस्पतालों के लिए ऑक्सीजन लेके दिल्ली से जा रहा था। दिल्ली वालों ने, दिल्ली सरकार ने हमारे उस टैंकर को लूट लिया। हालांकि अब मैंने आदेश जारी कर दिए कि जो भी टैंकर जाएगा वो पुलिस एस्कॉर्ट के साथ जाएगा।
The centre today claimed that it has ramped up oxygen production and has resolved the issue of movement of oxygen tankers between Delhi and Haryana. But Delhi's hospitals are still reporting oxygen shortage and there is no long-term strategy in sight. In New Delhi with Sharat Sharma, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Arvind Gunasekara has been tracking all the developments in court and joins us now. Arvind, is this hearing still carrying on? Because even though the court may be making orders, by the time, and the centre may agree to provide more oxygen, the situation on the ground is still touch and go for the next several hours, if not days.
Yeah, Vishnu, in fact, this particular petition was filed by Max Hospitals before the Delhi High Court, saying that they are running out of oxygen and they wanted a direction to this particular private supplier to honor their contract by providing the oxygen to this particular hospital. So that that private supplier was also made a party in this case, and that particular private supplier was also there during the hearing. So the court gave the particular private supplier gave an undertaking to this court, saying that they would be supplying with 2,000 cubic meters of oxygen to Max Hospital in Purpose-Ganj. So that has been taken on record by the court, and in fact the Max Hospital also made a very interesting request before the Honorable High Court, saying that not just a dedicated corridor for the transportation of the oxygen from the production unit to the supply end, but they also wanted a security cover for this particular transportation of the oxygen. They said that some states, some people are trying to stop this movement of oxygen, and that's why they wanted a security cover. So the court said that they would be ordering a security cover for the transportation of oxygen to the end point. So the High Court also came up with several strong remarks, several strong observations against the central government, saying that it's the duty of the central government to protect the fundamental right to life. And they said that the central government cannot take the industries as its priority. They have to take care of that because lives are at stake. Many hospitals are running out of oxygen, and that's why it is the time for the central government to act now itself. In fact, the Delhi High Court also came down very strongly on the central government, because even yesterday during the hearing, the High Court had suggested to the central government to divert the oxygen from petroleum and also steel industries to the hospitals. But today the High Court taking it on record, saying that it has not been implemented yet. The High Court came down very strongly, saying that the central government is not taking the situation very seriously.
Just yes or no,
so,
this hearing continues right now.
Matter to be adjourned for tomorrow. It has not been.
This hearing continues even now,
yeah,
right?
Vishnu, in fact,
all right, so we're going to track all of these developments, Arvind. I need to quickly move on at this stage, but we'll try and get the latest developments as the court comes back. They're in a recess at the moment. But we are quickly moving on now to another one of our big stories, the rollout of vaccines. And we've got two very special interviews. At this stage, we're joined by Mr. Prasad of Dr. Reddy's. Dr. Reddy's is the India partner of the Russian firm which is producing Sputnik V. That's going to be rolled out here in India. Sir, my first question to you, the rollout of Sputnik, when is this going to happen and in what numbers?
So we've just started having our conversations with our partner. we should soon be getting product from hopefully in May itself, but latest it will be in June, and it will be, I hope it will be large enough to start a meaningful effort. But I don't have the exact numbers today, but we will ramp up quite fast, and in June we should be in full swing, hundreds of thousands of people. The total commitment, as you know, it's 125 million people to be vaccinated using imported product. But of course, they have their own supply challenges, commitments and all that. But in parallel, we are going to start working with the Indian contract manufacturers to get the indigenously manufactured product rolled out.
So what you're basically saying is that the first installment of raw materials needs to come in?
Not raw materials. The first lot of vaccines will be
imports.
fully developed, fully made, ready to administer from Russia. After that, we will activate Indian people, and they're already activated. They're scaling up, doing all the protocols necessary to start manufacturing, establish the equivalence, and then bring in the indigenously made product for people in India.
And so, sir, just as a clarification, how many doses of the initial import will be ready by May or June?
That's still being negotiated, but several 100,000 is my view.
And would you be able to roll it out as soon as it comes? I mean, is the chain of distribution settled?
Roll it out. They're ready to be administered.
Okay, that's great to know. Sir, we now have a liberalized policy as far as vaccination in India is concerned. As I understand it, there would be different prices for different groups. So at the center, there's one price, the states, there's another price. And perhaps, you know, if in the future, if citizens want to buy the vaccine, there'll be a third price as well. So how are you pricing Sputnik V in India?
So firstly, I think the imported product will be only for the private market.
Right.
It's allowed for the private market completely.
Right.
And our partner wants to price it globally at the similar level. The global price is $10, and I'm hoping that will be the ceiling for the price in India. So initially we'll start with that. Once we start manufacturing, we'll have to export some of it and also give it to the public markets in India. And that pricing model we will have to figure out.
Mr. Prasad, the
in
public
the next coming weeks.
Right.
Ceiling being $10, it should be a little less than that, and we'll have to figure out what that is. And that product will be available both for the public and private markets.
Sir, the public and private markets, I take that point, but so is the initial batch, is that going to be going entirely to the private sectors, private citizens at $10?
We haven't said $10, but the global price has been $10, so we are indicating.
Right, and so approximately that, and the subsequent prices will hopefully be less than $10, right, provided to the center and state government. Is that right?
Yes, and the private markets also.
And so the private market, so basically in a finite period of time, you'll have one price for India after the initial lot, or will there be more than one price?
After the imported vaccine is exhausted, then by the time the Indian thing comes, we will have.
And so the private market
not one price for all of India. I think the private market will be a premium market.
And so the private market will be a premium market, right?
I mean, there'll be some level of cross-subsidization, I guess, so we haven't figured that out. But I'm hoping that the private market will be we don't have to subsidize people who can afford a jab, right?
Yeah.
So there are rightfully the government has to, look at equity and also social responsibility. And that is something we also would like to do. So we'll have a combination of that and this.
Sir, as you know, I mean, all too well, every day people are focusing on new variants, new mutations. And the question for Sputnik V is the same. How confident are you that this will give us the protection that we seek against the mutants that are now being reported?
So I have very early stage data, and it's not good for me to say anything on that. But all vaccines seem to have some efficacy on the mutants. And the important thing is, even if the mutant is there, and if you're vaccinated, the symptoms are relatively mild. So I think being vaccinated is important. I think like the seasonal flu, we will see booster shots tailored for mutants every season. And eventually I think the pattern will get established, but at this point it's a bit too early to speculate on that.
Sir, there's a very common question, people who are getting a vaccine now are getting either 2 jabs of Covishield or Covaxin. Now, you've come into the market a bit later on, and there is talk of a booster dose perhaps several months later on. So could people at that stage potentially switch to Sputnik or to another vaccine?
They could switch. They could switch, and there's something called multi-logous protection, and is being better than a single shot. So potentially they can switch. But the second shot, they should take the same one that they took on the first one, because data is not there. Right. How these multiple things work. The data that is presented to the regulator is of the second booster shot being the same as the first. Right. So I think unnecessarily, without evidence, speculating is not good on this.
Right.
But once you finish your 2 shots, I think there are a lot of studies going on of combination trials of different vaccines.
So a few more questions. Firstly, the temperature at which the vaccine can be stored, and secondly, there's also a very interesting powdered version of Sputnik V. How could you tell us about these, sir?
So the current temperature storage is recommended is -18 degrees, -18 to -24, something like that. We have a measles vaccine supply chain historically in India, which is at -20. So we are going to leverage that, and we have also augmented some of that with cold storage points at various parts of the country, across the country. So the cold storage and the cold chain is well established now, and we have validated it. We have done multiple dry runs. We feel comfortable with that. The lyophilized product is going to be stable at 2 to 8, but lyophilization is a very complex process, and it will require a lot more filling capacity held up, because the lyophilization cycles take multiple days, whereas liquid can be done faster. Mm-hmm. So I think there is an opportunity to make the 2 to 8 degrees lyophilized product, which is the powder you're speaking about, but it has a cost element of capacity on it.
All right. Well, lots of factors over there, but it's great that Sputnik is finally going to be rolled out in the month of late May, early June. And let's see, hopefully a lot of people will get a jab, because we actually do need our vaccination to step up a lot. Thanks very much for being with us. On now to our next big interview. It's also an important day for the Serum Institute of India, which has announced as part of its new liberalized policy, the new prices at which it's going to provide Covishield to states and to private hospitals. So it will be ultimately given to states when this all opens up to states at 400 rupees and 600 rupees for private hospitals. But it's important to note that the existing price of 150 rupees, which is being given to the center, will continue for the moment. I spoke to Adar Poonawalla earlier on, also on the entire process of ramping up capacity, because the number of vaccines India is producing thus far has just not been enough. This is what he said. How soon will you be in a position to ramp up supplies to meet the enhanced requirement for vaccines?
We are ramping up immediately, and the big ramp up will happen post-July, but even between now and July, we are going to ramp up 15 to 20% in our monthly capacities. Starting by the end of May, this product will be visible in the market, 15 to 20% more. And then after July, it will be beyond 40% of our existing capacities. So we'll cross after July 100 million doses per month.
How many doses will you now be producing for states and the centre, and how many doses of Covishield do you plan to ultimately sell in the private market?
We will try to split it evenly as much as possible between states and private supply.
Has the centre agreed to fund 3,000 crores towards ramping up Serum's Covishield manufacturing facilities, and when will the first tranche of these funds arrive?
The 3,000 crore amount we keep seeing in the media has been sanctioned, and we believe it will come to us very soon. We have not waited but borrowed from the banks to get on with the ramp up, with the assumption that this funding from the government will reach us very soon this week.
Once you do ramp up production, at what rate will you be producing Covishield? And in the interim period, what is the rate that you are providing Covishield at?
As I have said, it's a fixed rate of Covishield to the central government of 150 rupees, and then to the state governments it's higher, and to the private hospitals it's even higher.